Use your shinning.
Grease me up, woman. Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott. And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to continue our March Madness.
Let the games begin!
This is madness. It's madness, I tell you, for the love of God!
One shining moment, it's all on the line. Battle Royale!
The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
You're excited! Feel these nipples!
March Madness.
Which, as of this recording, has started today. The real NCAA tournament March Madness.
That's right.
We've been balls deep in some March Madness for a while.
We started when it was February
That's
Madness.
right, before it was popular.
Yeah.
No, the real question is, will we finish ours before they finish theirs?
Not a chance.
Not a chance in hell. I will say they will go faster, though, once we're done.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So there's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Nah, there's no chance. There's no chance.
Before the Stanley Cup is handed over, we'll probably
That's
finish.
in June.
Yeah.
We better fucking beat that.
Yeah. So anyway, so on the last episode, we got done with the 1 and 16, and we got done with the 2 and 15. Schindler's List and Pulp Fiction moved on. So we are now going to start with the 3 and 14, and we start off with an extremely tough one.
Yep.
It is 1979's Alien
Ooh.
versus 1980's The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my two favorite horror films.
Right?
But Barrett made this, and he did this one on purpose.
He did this on purpose.
The fuck is wrong with you?
I did not, because those are my two favorite horror movies, too.
What the hell? All right, well, Jesus.
So the Alien is the 3 seed, and it is, I mean, what else can you say about Alien that hasn't been said? This perfectly meshes horror and sci-fi all together, and it's got some of the scariest scenes we've ever seen in movies. It's got some of the most suspenseful stuff we've ever seen. Great cast, John Hurt, Sigourney Weaver, like, huge star after this.
Yeah.
Was this her first big movie?
Yeah, even though she had been in, she had a really small part in, I believe, Annie Hall. Like maybe a brief something in Annie Hall.
Sigourney Weaver was Alvy's date outside theater in Annie Hall.
There you go.
There you
Nice.
go. There's a savant mind at
That's
work.
right. She'd done some small stuff, and this was a huge break, and she became a tremendous star, and I think now she's like legend, basically.
She's definitely an icon.
Yeah. It's getting to the point now where, she's getting those and Sigourney Weaver credits,
Yeah.
like the Cabin in the Woods type of things. And she's coming in as a welcome presence. Like, this movie needs to get pushed up. Let's put Sigourney Weaver in it.
Or the
She's
voice
67 years old.
At
Yeah.
the thing in Finding Dory.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
As
right.
herself.
That's another thing. But yeah, I think maybe possibly I've discussed this before. I saw Alien backwards, basically. Starting with Alien 3, I saw that in the theater. Then I went to Aliens, and then I saw Alien. And Alien it's a weird way to see it, because Aliens is such a big hardcore action movie and everything. This one, nice and quiet and just takes its time, all that, but it's so you are just it's gripping. Attention is always being held in this whole thing. It's just you don't see sci-fi movies like this.
Mm-mm.
And gives us one of the most iconic, female action badass heroes of all time.
Yep.
Up there with Linda Hamilton and Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah, I mean, you could see Buffy the Vampire Slayer in this.
Gina
and
Carano.
You can see
In Haywire.
you can see all the stuff that Joss Whedon and J.J. Abrams would later put in their work, because they're very female centric when it came to the projects that they would introduce and everything. Obviously, James Cameron, who was already doing. I mean, he had Linda Hamilton in the first Terminator, and then he's able to continue along with Sigourney Weaver's character in Aliens. But yeah, it's so tense, and that's the thing. It's just tense, and I wish this is one of those movies I wish I could see again for the first time.
Yeah,
because there's so many like little surprises in it and everything. I think I had seen Spaceballs before I saw Alien.
Yeah.
So like the chest bursting scene was an iconic thing that I already knew about.
Right.
And especially since in Spaceballs it's John Hurt doing that parody scene.
Not again.
Yeah, exactly. So the chest bursting was not a surprise to me. The Ian Holm being a replicant or whatever the fuck he is. He's not a replicant. I'm mixing up our Ridley Scotts there.
You're getting your Ridley and your Ridley.
Yeah. He's one of he's the
Android.
Android. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
There's the nerd lingo I was looking for.
Well, and that's kind of a hallmark. It becomes a hallmark of the Alien movies. There's almost always an android. In fact, I think you can go on record and say there is.
Yep.
But it's almost always a surprise who the android is, at least to the characters in the film, with the exception of Prometheus, which we know who the android is there right out of the gate. But this movie is freaky. Mm-hmm. It's freaky. Like, okay, The Shining is freaky for completely different reasons. It's psychological horror. This is monster alien horror. And despite the fact that I believe in really neither of these things, or at least them impacting my life ever, I think just from pure fright, I think Alien scares me more than The Shining.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different things going on in both movies, and we'll get into The Shining here in a minute, but the first shot of the alien with its mouth open, ready to kill, is burned into my brain.
Yeah.
And will always be there. I had nightmares about this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I didn't ever have nightmares about The Shining.
That's H.R. Geiger, right? That did the effects.
I think so.
Or Giger. I've heard it both ways.
Oh, really?
Giger Geiger.
No, that's another thing that's become almost a cliche. We were talking last week about a movie that was a cliche, but the aliens now, we've seen them, in all different facets from every angle now. But the way that they play with shadows in Alien, and the way that they keep it hidden, it's almost Jaws-like, where you're not. The fear comes from the unknown and not from just the effects. And I love that stuff.
Well, and also, because it's an alien, they can do a lot of freaky shit. Like, it starts as a sack, then it becomes a face hugger, and it grows super fucking fast. Yeah. And that's part of what I think adds to the freakiness.
I'll tell you what adds to the freakiness is Jerry Goldsmith's score.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was listening to that the other day, and it's so unsettling. Like, there's just a bunch of like scratches and like,
yeah,
and it's all discordant. Like, anytime that the piano or the strings come in, it's all this weird chord thing, and it sets you up to be unsettled from the opening credits. Basically, when you see the shot of the ship coming in, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah, and I mean, it really sort of starts getting you really riveted at the point where Sigourney Weaver basically punishes Harry Dean Stanton, tells him to go look for the cat and whatever, and he goes over to some room and he's by himself. This is the way they get him separated in this, instead of like, let's split up or whatever. It's like, I hate you, go find the cat. But he goes in there and it's just like, the sense of dread has never been more pronounced than when he's like, going through all that thing. I also love the thing with Tom Skerritt and everything going through and like trying to find it. And it's just, it's an ingenious thing. I think it's kind of, it might be something we see a lot of now. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But Tom Skerritt going through and the dots basically are showing you where it is. And it's like, but he's right in front of me. Why can't he? There's an above and a below.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And then of course he goes down and the alien's like,
surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess now, like, the genie is out of the bottle after Aliens, and that's why you see Prometheus, and this Covenant looks ridiculous to me. I'm sure it's probably going to be. It's essentially like Couples Retreat Aliens. They say in the trailer, they're like, "Oh, this is an excursion for couples."
I hope it's half couples retreat because Jon Favreau was acting his ass off in that movie. Let me tell you,
he certainly was. So yeah, this is a great movie for Ridley Scott. It really sort of launched his career, and he's been working ever since.
Yep.
This motherfucker comes out with a movie almost every year, sometimes two, and the guy's like nearly 80 years old.
Yeah.
And he's coming out with this new Alien that has the couples retreat, like you said.
Exactly.
Who knows? You know.
Yeah.
But it goes up against The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's foray into horror movies, and it's the guy that if you've known his work to this point, it feels like he should have made a horror movie before that. 2001 is almost a horror movie.
Yeah.
But here he takes Stephen King. We get Stephen King back in this conversation. He takes a Stephen King book and he makes it somewhat his own thing. Although,
very much, I would say.
I've read the book for The Shining as well, and he's changed some things. I don't know why Stephen King is so pissed about this movie.
I think I know. It's because I think it was centered around Jack Nicholson's performance because he was so. I think what King was trying to do in the book was trying to almost make him a protagonist, a deeply flawed protagonist. Yeah. And Nicholson just took it and ran with it into Crazy Town. Which works so much better cinematically, I think.
And it's often been argued, and I believe we talked about this before, that Jack Nicholson looks crazy from the very beginning of the movie. Like, he learned it on the television. But this is a great little descent into madness, though, isn't it? It's terrifying because he's the strong father figure who has hurt his kid before. And he is going down in this, spiral of he's not getting a drink. He's not getting he's not getting to have any fun or anything like that. And he's got, basically his weak-willed wife and and a little kid with him, and he could easily end those people immediately. That's what's so terrifying about it. They don't have any escape.
Right.
Maybe weak-willed is a little bit too much. I don't know. Do you think? She's
not given it much to work with.
Well, he kind of famously beat up on her, verbally or whatever, to kind of get this kind of performance out of her. So I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's a performance where she looks like she's more frightened of Kubrick than she is of Nicholson.
Oh my God, the things that he did to Shelley Duvall. That was the big story, is that when she walks in on Jack Torrance and she threatens him with a bat and he's walking up the stairs and everything, they famously reshot that 99 times or something like that. And what was it? They told the crew to ignore her, the casting crew to ignore her.
Yep. She went through a ton of, I guess, what we would call abuse.
Yeah.
And there you can watch because I believe his daughter. Yeah, it's his daughter did the behind the scenes of The Shining. If you ever get the Blu-ray, it usually comes with it. And it showed the beginning of it's great, of that documentary and everything. It shows Jack Nicholson just before he's about to do his bathroom scene, and he's sitting there in the bed or whatever, and he's just getting ready for the scene and everything. And then you see him walking down the hall, and he's like, ugh, ugh, and he's just getting into that mode of I'm gonna have to be the scary dude and everything. But also, there's a point where it's it's Nicholson a year or two after the fact, and he's like, I really liked working with Stanley Kubrick. I can't say the same thing for Shelley. And Shelley, I said that wrong. He's talking about Shelley's experience with Kubrick, because then they start showing all these scenes with Kubrick going, you know what, Shelley, I don't want to hear you right now. It's and when you're doing this scene, you're coming off phony. I don't know what it is. He's just, wow. He's going, he's trying to achieve a certain thing and it worked, but it's also, it's on the line of it's over the line.
Well, let me tell you this, Larry. I think a lot of our best directors have pushed the boundaries in this regard, right? Because Hitchcock is famous for going over lines, I think, even further than this. But then you come a little forward to the future, and this is not as bad. But the whole thing Spielberg did in Saving Private Ryan, where He specifically kept Matt Damon out of the rigorous boot camp so that everybody would sort of resent him, and he felt like it came through on film.
Yep.
And so there's a certain amount of psychological work that a director can do that I think is okay and acceptable, and we just have to figure out when they're crossing the line, like this.
Yeah.
Or maybe when David O. Russell screams at Jennifer Lawrence or something.
Yeah. Beyond that, though, what we have here is a movie that it is at times terrifying and weird. There's a lot of, there's just great sound effects in this. The classic scene with Danny going on his big wheel, going through the house and everything, and running into the twins and all that. It wouldn't be the same if it wasn't just deadly silent, except for the way the big wheel goes over the hardwood, then the carpet, and so on and so forth. And then there's the scene with the room that they go into and all that, the very beautiful lady that walks out and then turns into a horrible, disgusting creature.
I love Jack Nicholson's face when he sees the girl getting out of the tub.
Yeah,
because he's got this like sourpuss thing as he's walking up. And then he breaks into this big grin.
Yeah.
He's like, does not question the fact that there is a woman sitting.
Right.
There's a lot he doesn't question. right. Like he just sort of takes it all in stride for much of this movie.
Yeah. And then I also just imagine too, if you're the Shelley Duvall character and like you thought that your husband's writing this book this whole time. And all that he's written is all work and no play make Jack a dull boy in like paragraphs and like it looks like a real book. Only that's all it says.
Also responsible for one of the best Simpsons parodies ever.
Yes,
all work and no
the
play
shinning.
make Homer something. Go crazy. Don't mind if I do. And then you have groundskeeper Willie at the end when they call it the shine, and he's like, "You want to get sued? It's the shinning. The shinning."
And then I think also Stephen King was a little upset at the ending too. They go through a hedge maze, but it's not the animals in the book like come to life in the book. Of course, in 1980, that would have looked stupid, and it may have even still looked stupid even if they had like good effects or whatever, because hedge animals suddenly coming to life and all that. Maybe they could have.
That's not the movie he wanted to shoot,
right?
Though. He didn't want to make something with that kind of aesthetic. Like you could tell, like yes, the ghosts come out, and there's an old guy getting a blowjob from a furry and all that stuff, which is terrifying. But which is more terrifying, I think, than a fucking hedge animal coming out of nowhere.
The hedge maze does need another port key, I think, to really sell this scene.
It does. Yeah.
I think.
Regardless, it's going to end up with Robert Pattinson.
But I do love how that shot. It looks beautiful going through all that at the end. Snow and all that. The lighting in that is gorgeous.
Well, that was the thing. That was one of the major complaints that Stephen King had with the ending. Was he said. Because in the book, it ends with the big hotel fire. Gets encompassed. He said, I ended my book with fire, and he ended his movie with cold, basically, with Jack freezing to death.
Right.
And, that I like both of them.
Yeah, same here.
I like the movie 1,000% better.
Right. Same here. Yeah. The movie is better. I think also the scariest thing about The Shining to me is there are two moments. The one where he's in the bathroom with the guy, and it's that red and white like stark bathroom, and first off the guy saying just matter of factly he needs to correct his wife and his son or whatever. And it's like my wife once did something to, and I corrected her. And but there's like the idea that basically Jack has been at the hotel as long as he can remember. Basically saying, I've always interpreted to mean whatever has infected him has been there for as long as the Overlook has been in business or whatever. The soul or the demon or whatever you want to call it. By the end of it, there's a picture of, all these people who are at a party in like 1921 or something like that. And it's Jack Torrance is in the middle of that picture.
Why is he in that form there? That ending shot is always confusing.
Yeah, it's all. I've always thought that it's just sort of
That's
maybe
a
not-
manifestation of the spirit. That,
I think so.
Huh.
I think so. I think that's what it's trying to say. I mean, of course, there's probably a million other interpretations
I'm
of
sure.
that. In fact, there's a whole fucking movie we
Yes,
talked
there
about before. But it didn't. I don't think it really goes into that very much. It goes more into the, like, you know, one guy's got the crackpot, like Stanley Kubrick helped fake the moon landings, and another one says it's a whole like damnation of American, the European settlers coming over and destroying the Native Americans.
And to do that, he uses like a ketchup bottle or like something of
it's
like
it's
tomatoes
like
or something in the back.
It's like a can of like tomatoes or some or
that
peanuts
has a
or
Native
something.
American head on it.
Right,
Like,
right.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah. I will say what's interesting though is they've like mapped this house out and everything. Like these weird conspiracy theorists about this movie, they've mapped this house out in such a way that's like, that is kind of weird. Like the Danny going through on his big wheel and he like ends up on the second floor somehow without going up any stairs or anything like that. And a lot of people are like, some people might think that's a mistake in the movie, but this is Stanley Kubrick we're talking about here, and it's like, he doesn't do stuff like that on accident or whatever. And they were pointing to other stuff like where a chair disappears in the background and all sort of stuff. And I'm like, he could still make a mistake though.
I don't know, man. Don't you miss Kubrick?
I do.
God.
Yeah, he was a close personal friend.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that is anywhere close to that level of detail and autonomy that he or she can do whatever they want to, and it's going to be a masterpiece when it comes out? Because he had some of the best cinematic runs. I mean, you talked about Barry Lyndon a little bit, but I mean, besides that, he was almost unimpeachable, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And even Barry Lyndon has scores of fans. I've seen that 2 or 3 times. Just have never been able to get to do it. I do believe though that if he were still alive, we'd still be waiting for his next movie.
Yeah, probably so.
Didn't exactly work fast.
Yeah, it took him 12 years from Full Metal Jacket to come out with Eyes Wide Shut.
Yep.
And he may have been working on AI, but I think he was working on that for like 20 years or something like that.
He was waiting for the technology.
Yeah,
right?
waiting for the technology, which he may have gotten the technology, but you know how he is. Like, it would have gotten to like 2004 and he would have been like, nope, still not good enough. So anyway, we've got a difficult decision here. Alien versus The Shining. So who's the order?
You're first.
I'm first. I'm going to go Alien here.
Mm-hmm.
Alien is as tight as it gets. It's just it's scary. It's gripping all the way through. The Shining, I do love this movie, but when Wendy walks through her house, the house of horrors, and there's like skeletons and stuff like that start popping out, that's the one weak point in The Shining for me. That is where I'm like, Stanley Kubrick is above this, showing skeletons and stuff like that. And of course, poor Shelley Duvall in her reactions to all that, she's reacting to this like scariest thing ever. And I'm like I'm never on board with her during that entire thing. So I generally think Alien's a little bit more of an exciting movie. It's a scarier movie. I'm picking Alien.
Wow.
Am I number 2?
You're number 2.
Well, these movies are trying to scare you in completely different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they both greatly succeed. And like I said, these are my 2 favorite horror movies. I've never named a number 1 because I love them both so much. So I'm going to make my decision on the fact that the only thing that's really ever bothered me about The Shining is just how vague what's going on is.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that that's intentional. And I don't want everything spelled out for me in some cases. Mm-hmm. Like Blair Witch, where it's kind of up in the air, but that last 5 minutes is like, what the fuck? I'm kind of freaked out right now. But I don't really know what's going on in this movie. I don't really know if, like you said, soul or demon or whatever it is it possessing him? Is it awoken from within him? But I don't know. And the vagary there keeps the fear a little distant for me. I think I love this as a horror movie because I love it as a movie. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's such gorgeous cinematography and the shots and the deliberateness of the pace. But I'm going Alien. I'm sorry to take your choice away from you.
That's okay.
Alien is just, like you said, it's flat out scarier. There's no fat that needs to be trimmed. And, The Shining is a nice, long settle in for some freaky shit.
Yeah.
Whereas Alien's just like, coming at you, bitch. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
That was the tagline.
yeah, it was. Coming at you, bitch.
They did
March 22nd.
They did the crazy people thing, the Dudley Moore movie, where they're the ad execs or whatever, and they're trying to come up with truth in advertising. And the one movie called The Freak, they came up with the joke thing of it'll scare the fuck out of you. And of course it ends up in the newspaper because all their ads end up in like all the posters and everything. And like I'll never forget the guy going, now I want to know how in the fuck that the word fuck got in the New York fucking Times.
They also dub Volvo boxy but good.
Yeah, boxy but good. And like come in the Bahamas instead of come to the Bahamas.
Nice.
I haven't seen Crazy People in forever. It's probably not nearly as funny as I remember it, but man, I did love that. But it was like funny because like there was like a big long line out to see The Freak, like people reporting on it, like the reporters like everybody's out here to see The Freak because of the tagline that says it'll scare the F out of you.
Well, not that it matters, but I'm going with The Shining.
Use your shinning.
Grease me up, woman. I think it's my third favorite Kubrick movie, and it's my favorite Kubrick movie of the time that we've been alive. I think it's start to finish one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen, and it's a mood piece. You're right. It's not like an explicit horror film in any sense of the word, really. Right. But I like the even though it's a huge, expansive hotel, he finds a way to make it claustrophobic.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you're cut away from everything. You're up on this hill. They have that little suite that makes it just kind of uncomfortably close. And then, of course, you've got the big, here's Johnny moment. I think this works on every single level for me. And I guess it may be because of those beautiful shots, like that helicopter shot, so smooth at the beginning when they're coming in. Oh yeah,
the way that drive up the mountain just kind of sets the tone for like, okay, here's what you're in for. Start dreading now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I love about horror movies? My favorite part about horror movies is the setup. Like if you nail the setup and where everything's normal but not. That is my shit right there. like you start looking for things like that's probably going to go wrong, that's going to go wrong, but like people are acting kind of normally. And this is kind of an extended play of that. And in Alien, the same way. I mean, you don't really know exactly where you're at, and then they establish the rules, and then, you kind of just discover this as you go along. I think I just get more satisfaction out of the Shining. But, yeah, great. I can't argue with Alien.
Well, sorry, Shining.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
Get on the bus.
We just fucking put that goddamn movie to the mat. Fuck you, Shining.
Tag teamed it. Expecto Patronum.
Yeah, it's yeah. It is never fun knocking a movie to the mat that's as good as The Shining.
I know.
And all through this first round, there are movies that could easily have won this thing that just went in the wrong matchup.
This is the only Kubrick movie in the bracket, I think.
Yeah, because most of his movies were made before 75.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like he made 3 movies while we were alive.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it was this and
this, Full Metal Jacket,
yeah.
and Eyes Wide Shut. Those were the only 3.
Wow. Should have gotten some more work in, Stanley.
There we go, Stanley. I know. Come on, way to ruin our lives with your lack of production
and your awesome art.
Yeah. Okay, that'll take us to the 4 and 13 matchup, which is The Social Network.
Ooh.
Against American Beauty.
Oh, American Beauty is the high seed?
Nope.
It's the low seed.
It's the low seed.
It did not win 1999. Matrix did.
Motherfuck.
So, yeah, you have The Social Network, which is the 4 seed in this matchup.
Wow.
And, man, what a great movie this is, right? I mean, this is, how in the world do you make Facebook compelling to me?
Yeah.
The creation of Facebook compelling.
Is there a good argument I know there is an argument. Is there a good argument to be made that this is Fincher's best film?
Yes.
Sure.
I mean, you'd have Seven up there. You'd have Zodiac up
Fight
there.
Club would get some votes.
Yeah. This is my favorite of his, though, I think.
Yeah, I think it's somehow it makes this conflict of, who really came up with Facebook and the events surrounding the creation of it. They make it really compelling, like it's a thriller of some sort, even though it's not really a thriller. It's a drama, but it's got it's filmed so darkly and with when Justin Timberlake comes rolling in, it's kind of like he's the snake oil salesman in the whole thing.
Drop the.
Yeah,
Just Facebook.
Yeah. And Andrew Garfield is so good in this.
Yep.
He's my favorite part of this movie easily.
Yeah.
Even though Jesse Eisenberg really turns in a star-making performance, unfortunately, it's what he does all the time now.
Yeah.
I think it seems like he's always trying to get this kind of nervous type of character on everything. But Andrew Garfield, in that scene where the fate, drop the and all that, Garfield, he's got that part where he's like, Sean owned Mark after that meeting, and all that type of stuff. And just the scene for me in that movie, always like, I just gotta stop everything, is when he's found out that his shares have been like, what is it called? He had all this worthless stock compared to what everybody else did. And he thought, because he was using Facebook's lawyers when he drafted his whole, his shares and everything, he had this amount. It was never going to go down or whatever. And then he finds out that it's worth almost nothing.
Yeah.
And he comes in and, Mark's on the computer with his headphones and he just throws that laptop down. But I just love this, going through that whole thing and everything. And he's like, you better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not going to come back just for some whatever percent it is. I'm coming back for all of it.
Yeah. He's the heart and soul of the movie, really. You can't root for Mark, right?
No.
Not the way this movie paints him. And Eduardo is really the protagonist. But I think what makes this movie really sing is that it's the triple threat. It's the Sorkin script, the Fincher's direction, and that goddamn score from Trent Reznor, who had not prior to this shown any propensity for film score.
Yeah.
And the three of them have not teamed up on a movie since. And you could take any one of them, any two of them, and probably crank out a great movie, but there's something about all three of them firing on all cylinders in this. And then, like you said, the great performances, because Eisenberg is really engaging in this movie. He's an engaging prick. Yeah. And the first scene of the movie shows you that, with him basically being completely condescending to, that's Rooney Mara, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to watch this movie right now. I might watch it when I get home after this.
Every time.
That's the thing, right? You hear Social Network, you immediately, your hand just starts reaching somewhere, and you want where is it? Can I pop it in where I'm at right now? Can I possibly do that?
Yes.
Because it is that type of movie. Just the intensity of all these different things that he's going, yes, you have my attention, you have my bare minimum of attention and all that. And and the fun little lines hey, if you want to stand on other people's shoulders to feel tall and all that type of stuff. I dig stuff like that. It's so Sorkin. It's such Sorkin stuff. Now that's maybe the one knock on him is that everybody sounds like Sorkin in a Sorkin movie.
Yeah. But the best of Sorkin, when you get A Few Good Men and when you get Social Network, the best of it in those type of mouths are how it sings. It doesn't sing in the newsroom, it doesn't sing necessarily in some of the other things that he's done, but
it's sung on the West Wing though for at least the first 4 seasons till they ran him off. That was some good shit.
The and where Fincher comes into this too is just by all the I love that scene where he's come up with that first thing before Facebook, that face match or whatever the hell
mash,
it is. Face mash. And everybody around the campus is doing that hot or not, basically.
Basically.
And all that. And he gets in a lot of trouble for it, but the way it shows how it spreads like a virus, this thing that he's invented, all these people are just like suddenly addicted to it, sort of precludes what everybody is going to be addicted to later when he makes this amazing thing. I love how they show what is the brothers' names?
Winklevoss.
The Winklevoss. And of course the Winklevie and all that stuff is funny. They show them like doing their like little boat race and everything, and it's just and it's another loss for the Winklevoss twins.
The movie does a great job of showing you, he probably fucked those guys over, but they're also kind of unlikable pricks.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't end up feeling very sorry for them, even though, at least according to the movie, he pretty much just stalled them until he made a better version of what they were going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you understand why they're mad, but that scene where they go into the dean's office like petulant little babies, like they actually think they found some loophole in the Harvard ethics thing, and this is how they're going to win back.
Or that something like that is something that anybody can use and anybody's going to care about,
There's an honor code here that says don't lie, and this guy lied, he should totally be expelled, okay? I mean, and I say the movie shows, but in real life, it showed. They got millions upon millions of dollars from Facebook in the settlement, so... it's weird because, like I've said before, they announced this movie and I laughed my balls off. I was like, oh yeah, here we are. This is what basically like when I saw the Emoji movie announced, and then Fincher comes on and Sorkin comes on. I'm like, what are we? And then we see that first trailer with that high children's choir singing that song.
Creep. Yeah, they're singing Creep,
and I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And then I watched it and I was like, holy fuck, how did they see this from the prospectus of this movie? Right? Unless Sorkin had the whole script, maybe you could kind of see the film come together by reading that script, but I still don't think you could know until you actually put that thing together that it was going to be any good, and it was a home run.
And all the bit players, like Armie Hammer, you could tell that like and I don't think he's still really exploited all that potential.
No.
But he's really great because he plays, there's the real asshole twin, and then there's the slightly less asshole twin.
Yeah.
That like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit here. This is the reality of it.
He definitely made them look like they were distinct personalities and everything, which is hard to do.
Exactly. And then you had Justin Timberlake, man. My favorite Justin Timberlake performance, which he then followed up with In Time the next fucking year, which made me angry.
Which is my favorite Justin Timberlake performance.
Oh, my God. He had a great cry. But the... him as Sean Parker, and haven't seen interviews with Sean Parker, like you could not pick a better performer for this role. It's perfect. And when he's first introduced in that girl, who is that girl? Do you remember?
I don't know if she's anybody famous.
What?
The girl that he sleeps with.
Oh, it's Dakota Johnson.
It's Dakota Johnson. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's somebody famous.
But he's got that just kind of like, you're that Sean Parker that invented Napster? Yeah, I'm that Sean Parker that invented Napster.
Yeah.
And he's just so confidently nonchalant about everything, which is, I guess, perfect for somebody as gifted and, beautiful as Timberlake to pull off. Every casting choice, Rashida Jones, like all these casting choices are perfect, and that dialogue is perfect coming out of their face holes. So like it's awesome. It's great.
And what is it when Eduardo comes to LA and he says something like, I hear you're known for this and blah blah blah. He's telling Sean that, and Sean Parker's like, you know what I know you for? Nothing. And building up that like nice little rivalry, because especially after he throws the laptop and he threatens litigation and everything, he also fakes to like about to punch Sean, and Eduardo's like, it's like, really, like you standing next to me, Sean, you always make me look so tough. Social Network, dialogue is action. It's never is more prevalent. That little axiom or whatever has never been more prevalent than in that movie, because it drives it and it moves that movie just like boom, doom, boom. By the end of it, you're out of breath.
Yeah, especially if you go on. Derailed my own joke there. It's gonna be really immature anyway.
It goes up against American Beauty, 1999 Best Picture, a great film.
Yes.
This is such prime Kevin Spacey. Like everything he does in this, it doesn't really matter what kind of bad thing he does in this. you're like, yeah, man, go for it. Even though his shit is creepy in this movie, man.
It is, but he's sort of, with maybe the exception of the daughter's friend that he almost sleeps with, he's sort of living out, it's almost like an adult Home Alone. He's living out every 40-year-old man who's grinding it out at a job's fantasy, right? Blackmails his boss, doesn't have to work anymore, buys the sports car he wanted, starts smoking weed, starts working out. He's basically just become a teenager in a grown-up's body, and he's having... The character is having so much fun. It's clear Spacey is too, but that's, I think, why you root for him, even when he's being a shithead. I mean, I don't think you root for him to sleep with Mina Savari.
No.
I don't think the movie wants you to.
But you are rooting for him at almost every level of this. You want him to get over on his wife. You want him, when he does that blackmail of his boss and everything, you're like, yeah, man, you go for it.
And the drive-through when he catches his wife in Peter Gallagher's car, you cheer for that moment.
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
though he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get these blackmail boss walking out with full salary scenes confused in the same year with Fight Club.
Yeah.
It was a big popular theme that year.
Yeah. What a sort of I love this because it seems like a pretty normal American family. This seems like for most people, they just kind of live through it and they just deal with it and they just kind of like all the problems. They just kind of like, I'm just gonna not say anything about it. I'm not gonna talk about it. We're gonna live happy. Damn it, we're not gonna upset the apple cart or whatever it is. In this one, they refuse to. All three of the characters in this, the Thurl Birch character, Annette Bening's character, they all they all basically say, you know what, I'm tired of being unhappy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go after what I want, and the family be damned. Basically, and they may not be thinking it on these terms, but Annette Bening is like just tired of the same old, and tired of being second to the real estate king and all this other type of stuff.
You know how you beat the guy in front of you? You fuck him. That's how you do it.
Yeah,
Fuck me, Your Majesty.
By the way, that is one of the craziest sex scenes you'll ever see in your life. Annette Bening's legs are like or whatever, they may have gotten like a model or something.
Stunt legs.
legs. And I mean, it's just hammering away. It's like this isn't real sex, but okay, they must be enjoying it. But Kevin Spacey, he's tired of all this stuff too. I like, the job. I mean, everybody's wanted to do that with their boss, man. They wanted to get something on them and everything, and want to be able to quit their job, get a sports car, like all the stuff you just rattled down. And then Thurl Birch character, she's tired of being just the good girl and the like everybody saying that Wes Bentley is weird or whatever. I kind of like Wes Bentley. They developed that relationship, and she's at the point where she's ready to just leave completely.
Run off with him.
Yeah.
They're actually actively planning to.
Yeah.
She's kind of the weakest character of this, though, isn't she?
Maybe, but it's only because of how much everyone else reflects off of her.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't get Mina Savari's attitude and self-centeredness if we don't have her playing off Thor Birch's kind of meek, quiet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And also in this movie, this has one of the biggest cases of misunderstood blowjob in any movie ever.
Yep.
Because of the placement of windows.
Yep.
A man is killed.
Yeah.
Let's just put that in perspective. Of all the things you see in this movie, the only reason anybody dies is because it looked like my son was blowing that guy. This is how homophobic this character is.
It's a little ham-handed, that scene.
And he's all shirtless and leaning back.
Considering that Chris Cooper's character is already this way, we already know this about him. Right. I feel like just the little interactions that he sees and is suspicious of, because there's the part where Kevin Spacey's like, call me. All that. I wish it was more about those little things that he builds up in his mind rather than seeing something that he feels confirms it.
Right.
And I feel like he doesn't need much to get to that point. Yeah, it is a very ham-handed scene. Now, Sam Mendes, this was his directorial debut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's an amazing directorial debut.
Yeah.
In fact, the Alan Ball script, I've always heard they didn't cut anything except the ending, which had a big trial at the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, you know, all the people who could have possibly killed him are on a trial.
Oh, interesting.
Which is they wisely cut out. That would have been so stupid.
It's like the Seinfeld finale.
Yeah. And it would have made this movie, like, you know, 20 to 30 minutes longer too. But it's a beautifully shot movie. It's got the great Thomas Newman score. It's everything about it is great. It has to go up against The Social Network though.
I think I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to make a reference to Pay It Forward, so go ahead. I was going to say this movie gave Spacey the clout to do whatever he wanted, and what he wanted to do was have a burn scar all over half of his face.
Yes.
Start with Haley Joel Osment.
Yes. And let's not forget K-Pax.
K-Pax is watchable at least.
I've never seen it.
Pay It Forward is just...
That's bad.
It's like somebody found a script and said, give me 20 cc's of sugar, stat. And
Two of the biggest actors from
script.
1999.
Yeah.
Get a thing together. No, what I was going to say, I always thought Wes Bentley kind of got short-shrifted in this movie, like his accolades, because of that whole stupid bag scene.
Yeah.
But he's terrific in
I wanted to show my girlfriend your Nazi plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene is what I'm thinking about, is when Chris Cooper comes in and you can see it's just rage, and then Wes Bentley Ricky just kind of like cowering and being like, I'm sorry, sir, I shouldn't have ever done, all this stuff. And then Chris Cooper finally, for the only time in this movie, I think, like humanizing himself, where he's just like, I really want you to just follow the right path, son.
Well, and it's what you were referring to before. It's the suppressed homosexuality that he has, that he doesn't want his son going down the same path. Poor Allison Janney character in this.
Oh, man.
My God.
You want to talk about poor bastard moments? Every time Allison Janney's on screen.
She's defeated.
Yes.
She's so defeated, she's almost evil.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't leave this at some point and take your kid, you're almost complicit in this.
Yeah.
There's a part where Wes Bentley and Thora Birch show up to the house, and she's just kind of like in a comatose state in the table, and she goes, oh, I'm sorry about how the house looks. And like, of course, they pan around the house. It's spotless.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, I feel so bad for her.
Yeah.
Like their life has just been destroyed by this Chris Cooper character who sits there and watches like these old military movies and everything, and like gets a good chuckle out of them.
He loves it.
And but yeah, I feel worse for her probably of anybody in this movie. But so are we going to vote? We're going to vote on this?
Let's do it.
I think we should just not. Just skip this one. No, I'm just kidding.
I wish we could.
Who goes fast there, Chief?
It's you.
It's me?
Mm-hmm.
American Beauty versus Social Network?
Yep.
It's weird because these movies aren't very much alike, but they're very similar in my mind in terms of how they hit the culture when they came out. They both succeed so well in setting a mood. I don't know that either one of them has life-changing messages to send.
Yeah.
So I'm not really seeing an importance here or there in either one of them. I'm going Social Network. I love American Beauty, and depending on how much time I had and the mood I'm in, I might even choose that over Social Network, which I find to be a much darker movie, despite the body count being much higher in American Beauty. I just think there's not a problem with it. Everybody in the film, everybody on the crew, the actors, everybody just hit a home run. It was like a collective home run society made this movie.
Yep.
So.
It's weird that American Beauty won the Best Picture Oscar in a loaded year.
Yeah.
And is somewhat derided because of that. Which is not fair to it, because it was really, really great. And you could make a very good argument that it was the best of 1999. And then The Social Network in 2010 lost to the fucking King's Speech.
Yeah.
Which is a travesty.
Yes, it is.
It was clearly the
Fuck you,
best.
King's Speech.
Goddamn Englanders.
Fucking king. Fucking Brexit.
I really don't like this matchup because I think when we unveiled the bracket, I was saying that American Beauty doesn't match up. It's not battle tested. It's not something that matches up well with anything because it's so in its own world. And The Social Network has my vote because I think it's one of my favorite movies of the last 15 years.
Yeah.
You don't get a movie that's as rewatchable as that very often. It's up there with A Few Good Men to me, which of course lost, but it's up there in the rewatchability. I guess that's the gift that Aaron Sorkin has, is just making these things, these trivial things, compelling. A little petty argument. I mean, it's about a $1 billion company, but this petty argument about how this thing started is so freaking absorbing, and you just have to give it up to it. It really is almost a perfect movie to me.
Yep. Social Network will be unanimous.
Unanimity.
I've probably seen American Beauty more. It's just because it's been out longer. Social Network I've seen several times, even since it's 2010 and everything. I've seen it several times, but I think overall Social Network's a little bit better of a movie. You got a guy who in Fincher who has been doing this for almost 20 years at this point. 18 if you want to just count straight from Alien 3. And he came out as a music video director. Man, that's the impossible thing. So he has a lot more seasoning on him there, and Sam Mendes knocked it out of the park with American Beauty. And he got everybody in the world to come in there. Thomas Newman, Conrad Hall, all these great people. And but there are just a couple of moments in American Beauty that you could do without. I think a better director would have said, or a guy who had some seasoning under his belt might have said, you know what, I probably need to cut down on this or that or whatever. Social Network's going to take it.
All right.
Hooray for Facebook. Hooray for Facebook.
I don't think my vote has counted once. No, I'm just kidding.
Your vote counted last time.
It did. It's counted a couple of times, but it seems like most of the time it gets to me, it's like, well,
fuck you.
Fuck life.
I bet you, I don't know. I don't know how this next one's going to shake out, though.
Okay. So the 5 seed, the Untouchables, versus the 12 seed, the Prestige.
What?
You heard me.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the wrong bracket this time. Two stellar movies.
Is there anything else in the bracket we can put Untouchables up against so it'll win more easily?
Schindler's List?
Anyway... Number 5, Untouchables. It's the higher seed here. Hey, but 12s and 5s, man. 12 and 5. Happened today.
Exactly.
MTS fucking you. Fuck you, Minnesota.
Your alma mater.
The whole state. Fuck you. No. Come back. Come back. I love you, Minnesota. Anyway, The Untouchables. This is Brian De Palma's best movie. And he's come out with a lot of doozies over the years.
Scarface.
Chris
just made the Scarface face.
It was the greatest. Oh, she could see it.
Yeah, but he's come out with a lot of great movies. A lot of movies that maybe don't hit that all-time great status or whatever, but are just always watchable in some way. He's always like a sick bastard in these movies, Body Double and Dress to Kill and all that. Those are just there. He elevates B movies to something exciting. This is not anything like that, though.
No,
The Untouchables. The immediate thing that comes to me whenever I watch this, and I've watched it many times. And I've said this before when we were doing this year, Brian De Palma is directing the fuck out of this movie.
Yeah, he really is.
Every scene, he's it looks like he's man, we're telling a goddamn story, goddamn it. Every scene's got cool camera movement and everything in the background. It looks huge and and a screenplay from David Mamet.
Oh yeah.
And it's just good old cops and robbers type shit, man. This is Kevin Costner, Elliot Ness playing against Robert Deniro, Al Capone.
Yeah, it's almost populist, which he really hasn't done, even with Scarface. I mean, that was almost a niche type of thing that he did. This is like almost popcorn entertainment, you know?
Yes. And I don't know, man. It's one of the most memorable De Niro performances compared to the amount of screen time he's got.
Yeah.
Because he's really not in this movie very much at all. In fact, you probably see Nitti and some other Capone henchmen more than you see Capone. But when he's on camera, he makes the most of it so that his impact is felt right across every other scene. The opening scene of this movie, if this doesn't grab you, then just turn the thing off. But it's that guy comes into the, county store, general store, what have you, sets the briefcase down, ends up leaving, and the little girl's like, "Mister, you forgot your kid."
Oh my God.
No.
And that is the Chicago we're in right now.
Yes.
That's what the introduction. Oh God, I fucking love this movie.
It's crazy because I usually find very little reason to have extreme violence. Like, it doesn't appeal to me. I get that it's fun to see how the effects work and everything. This movie has some of the greatest use of violence I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's very bloody. It's very visceral, but like, I dig it. And it's not like visceral and like it's a realistic type of movie, which I guess it's based on realism, but like, I don't know. I dig the violence in this. It's much like Logan. Like, for some reason, I think it's necessary.
Yeah. And there's so many just great action pieces in this. When they go to Canada or the border or whatever, and there's that bridge scene. That scene from start to finish, try walking away from that doing anything.
Yep.
If you have to pee as hard as you've ever had to pee before, try walking away from that scene.
Same with the train station sequence.
You
could have an hour and a half of flat out fucking boredom. It could be Elliot Ness reading reports in his desk, right? And if you give me that train sequence at the end, this movie is still a masterpiece.
Yeah.
That it's almost operatic, the way that scene comes together. All the moving pieces and the way that he uses slow-mo, and then the way that Stone comes running in to catch that carriage.
Yeah.
And the bad guy's like, "I'm going to count to 3, 1. And Costner's like, "You got him?" He's like, "I got him."
Yeah, and there's the slow zoom in on Andy Garcia's face and everything, and you're just like, there's just something about it, man. You're like, oh, he does got him.
Yeah.
I know he's got him. and then on top of that, De Palma gets to, in a way, I compare this scene a little bit to the scene I'm about to talk about. Sam Raimi in Spider-Man 2, when he gets to do his Sam Raimi stuff, where like, Dr. Octopus is on the table and everything, and there's like all those like different like Raimi zooms and all this other type of stuff going on in it. It's like, this is something right out of Evil Dead in one of a major studio tentpole films. In the Untouchables, it's the Sean Connery scene where he's at his house.
God.
And like the camera is just, it's a one take.
Yeah.
And it's just going around showing us where he is. And there's somebody outside. There's somebody tracking him down. And this is something that you think is like, oh yeah, man, Sean Connery's badass. He knew that guy was there the whole time. And it wasn't the point.
Yeah.
The whole, you're like, oh yeah, man, he told that motherfucker he's out of the house now. And then there's a guy waiting for him to shoot him.
We do get that great, got a racist term in it, but just like a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah.
We cut the racist part out of it in the modern parlance.
Which is, I don't know. It's something wonderful coming out of Sean Connery's accent there. It's just something about it, the way he says it. It's great. But yeah, this movie, it's great all the way through. And we haven't even talked about the Ennio Morricone score,
Right. Yeah.
which is phenomenal. And I like, how in the fuck did this guy only win an Oscar when The Hateful Eight came out?
Yeah, that's seriously good stuff.
The score in The Untouchables is amazing.
And it's completely unlike anything he had done before then.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Or really after. I love it when people... John Williams gets on a score. It's going to have a memorable theme. It's going to have swooping strings. It's going to have a lot of horns. But you're going to probably be able to tell it's a John Williams score. Like, people like Ennio Morricone or stuff like that, or even Giacchino, they can switch it up. I love that
Although
stuff.
I will say, I've done this twice now in the last couple of weeks. I've called an obscure composer by hearing music on a different film that sounds like a film I recognize.
Oh, yeah?
So I was watching, I forget what I was watching, but I was like, I think this guy's the guy that did the score to Born Ultimatum.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing happened. It was Brokeback Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching 21 Grams with Benicio del Toro and Naomi Watts, and I'd never seen it. And it's the same kind of, it's a lot of guitar work and like just kind of mournful strumming. And I was like, this sounds a lot like Brokeback Mountain. Google. Yep, that's the guy.
Nice.
Never heard of the guy, but hey, did an awesome score.
Was it Gustavo Santaolalla?
That sounds.
Because he's the guy
close.
who did the guitar in The Insider.
Oh, interesting.
He did the Spanish guitar in The Insider. He didn't do the composing in it and everything. I think maybe he did that one. Anyway, The Untouchables is just otherworldly great.
It really is.
It goes up against The Prestige. Christopher Nolan's basically his movie in between Batmans he made.
And in my opinion, his best film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I agree with that. I certainly have seen this one more than any of his other films.
Me too.
But I just love this so much. The rival magicians, and you've got great Hugh Jackman in one of his best performances before Logan.
Yeah.
And Christian Bale, who's great in this too. And this is, it's just, it goes to show how far an obsession can go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful that way.
Yeah.
It's like when Bowie says to him, "Have you considered the cost?" He's like, "Money's no object." He's
Yeah.
like, "No, have you considered the cost?"
Yeah. And he's like, and by the end of it, he's like, if you want my advice, I tell you to destroy this machine. You know, Andy Serkis also has a little nice bit part in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything about this, and I'm not saying this in a punny way. There's magic to this as far as like how Nolan shoots it, and like how he tells the story that's kind of going back and forth.
It's a goddamn puzzle.
Yeah, it really is, and it's wanting to give you revelations when it's darn well ready. One part of this, I did you guys pick up that Bale was playing at least playing the other character
Yes.
in this before it was revealed?
That was the only thing
I did too.
that I
The only problem though is that he's so made up, it
Mm.
draws attention to him, and I don't think he looks like Bale. I think they did a good enough job with the makeup on that character.
Yeah,
But they did so much makeup work to that character, I'm suspicious immediately. And I
Well-
just have the kind of brain that's going to go there pretty quick.
and they're good about not showing him very much, but that also sort of lets you reveal too, because once you start, this is an important character that they're not showing very much. It's sort of like, now I've heard some people say, well, maybe that's the point that you're supposed to know or whatever, but that's such a wicked reveal.
Yeah.
It is.
By the end of it. Now, even though I kind of knew it was him, I didn't think that was going on, like the whole like big surprise that comes in.
Right.
I just thought Bale was playing the character. I didn't think there was any brothers or
Oh,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I don't know if you guys thought
I mean,
that.
I put two and two together because of the nature of the trick.
Yeah.
You know, because there was no explanation heretofore, you know, that just made the most sense.
Well,
After
and
I figured
Michael
out, like, this
Caine
gonna be-
is the moral center of this movie, and he consistently says he uses a double.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
And so it sort of plants that in your ear. But what I like about this movie is that it has multiple reveals.
Yeah.
And if you call one of them and are not surprised, that's all right. There's more coming.
Yeah, what it is you ever play that hand trick where like you got a stick and like whoever you stack the hands and whoever has like the tiniest bit of the stick on the top of it, wins.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this movie is.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, well, that's it. They're done. Oh, no, that one's, there's another one. There's another one. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. But yeah, the lengths that they go they're just crazy. Like, I think even if you're like me and you're like, you're fooled by what happens, you don't realize that once he, loses his thumb, that the other guy has to lose his thumb.
Right.
And stuff like that. It's like, did they really go through all that? That doesn't go through your head. And even if you're like, I think even if you're like wise to it immediately, you're like, you don't even think about stuff like that. And that is insane. And that's the point, right? It's
Well, they're both obsessed.
yeah.
Right? They're both obsessed kind of the same thing, but it destroys both of them to a certain extent.
They just want the world's greatest trick.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they both have it for a time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure we went on record so the SinCast could say that this is Piper Perabo's best movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly, I mean, well, aren't you sure? Are you sure Coyote Ugly's not in the conversation?
I will say almost everybody in this movie is a little too easily fooled by early 20th century makeup and hair effects, right?
Yeah,
because
everybody's got the beards.
He doesn't get shot in his hand by Hugh Jackman at the bullet catch trick. If anyone in that room is a little bit brighter about looking at, like, the makeup can't be that good, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets up on stage to break the cage. Oh my God! Now the second time he gets on stage, it's like, planned because he setting him up, but still.
This movie immediately wraps you up with Michael Caine at the beginning, telling you how all the different points of a trick and everything, and it tells you right off the bat to look closer and all this other type of stuff. And that ending scene when he's in the, he's about to get hanged, and he's like abracadabra, and then it just cuts to him alive, about to confront Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
That is Nolan at his very fucking best.
It is.
And I love that so much. Just him just showing up, and like you're just sitting there going, whoa, that's a hell of a trick. Oh, he's his brother, isn't he? But like it's just the way that's done is so great. But man,
I will say it does kind of yada yada a little bit over some pretty amazingly groundbreaking science.
Yeah, yes, it does.
Yeah.
If Nikola Tesla had this capability and this is the route that he went with, I'm going to sell that machine to a fucking magician.
Yeah, seriously, not the U.S. government.
Yeah. So, but just stack the bodies.
You
in a
have
basement
one
somewhere.
super soldier? Put him in my machine about a million times, and now you have an army.
Yeah. I don't know however many times I've seen this, the very end of this where it's it's Michael Caine going back over the trick and like the whole thing, and it's showing all those images. I think Nolan's really good about like sort of telling a story with these like sort of like dissolves as it goes through and everything. He does that even in the Batman movies where people are just kind of talking. Mm-hmm. And it's just like it's showing you a montage without going through the heavy beats.
It's gonna be a montage.
Exactly. It's more of a montage, but with telling the story more than anything. But like that ending scene, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but like it gives me chills every single time where it ends with you still want to be fooled, and it shows that last shot of one of the many Hugh Jackman characters who have died falling into that tank, and he's just just like bug-eyed and all that other type of stuff, fooled, and it cuts to black immediately, and it goes into that Tom York song at the end. Oh man, this movie's great.
What the fuck are we gonna do here?
So the Untouchables versus the Prestige. Who's the first?
That's me.
First act.
Oh my Jesus.
I like me some Untouchables, man. Like the scenery, the pace. That you actually just triggered in my brain that Sean Connery scene that's shot from the outside and seeing the windows and where he's going through. It's so terrific, man. The characters. Think about how many characters he had to juggle to get those told correctly. And it's not a super long movie. It doesn't seem like it's super long.
No, it's a couple hours.
I slightly lean towards the Prestige, though. I agree with you, actually. I think this is Christopher Nolan's best movie. I think I would watch The Dark Knight more often than I would watch this, but I think it's his best movie. So that's my pick.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not a matchup that feels good.
That's true.
Because I don't really know of anything other than maybe the ham-handed makeup on Christian Bale's character. That I could point to that in the Prestige or whatever, and it introduces us to Rebecca Hall, who I really love too. I love how it weaves in and out of all these great stories. People basically just reading diaries, and stuff like that. I'm not going against the Untouchables though. The Untouchables is a masterpiece.
It's untouchable.
It is a movie that has just so many, like everything about it is elevated to an insane degree, and I'm not going against it.
Nice.
The
Got a split vote.
Prestige is one of the most meticulously executed movies I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like I imagine the planning stages while writing this script were complicated as fuck. Just so much thought obviously went into everything before they put one frame to film. It's his best movie.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to watch it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing that's really ever bothered me about that movie is the whole Christian Bale thing being the twin. Because I was drawn the first viewing to that, what's his name? Fallon.
Yeah.
But it's the Rebecca Hall thing that really tips it off, because she repeatedly asks him, "Do you love me?" And his response, she'll either say, "Oh, today it's true," or "Today it's not."
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's overt enough on the first time through to really tip it off, but on repeat viewings, it stands out like a sore thumb. Like, you almost want me to know.
Yeah.
God, what a fine line we draw. Untouchables wins. It is... The only flaw in The Untouchables is that Costner's one of the characters in there. And I think he's as good as Costner gets in this movie, but some people just think he's a bad actor or a non-entity as an actor. And I think that's the only criticism you can levy at this movie.
Yeah, and it's not believable when, like if you're sort of projecting Kevin Costner versus Robert De Niro.
Right.
Of
course, they only have the one scene together, really.
Yeah.
Two,
What
I
a
guess, if you
scene,
count
too.
the courtroom.
Right.
But like you said, he directs his ass off in this movie. They don't shoot movies like this anymore. That overhead shot of Pacino getting his face shaved before we come down into the room.
De Niro.
Did I say Pacino? Fuck!
Pacino's been in a couple of De Palma movies, though.
I'm derailed now, but it's just shot, and there's so many amazing shots in this movie that you just don't see the likes of them anymore. You look at something like The Fast and the Furious, and they're not even trying to do cool establishing shots like that.
Yeah. Well, The Untouchables, the thing about that, there's an era of movies going on here in these late 80s, early 90s where they were just made for adults. You could tell that they were made for adults to watch. And like now, even the adultiest movie that comes out like has to do something like, look at this, we want to have the kids involved with this too. There's something, I don't know, there's something like nobody wants to try anymore or something. I don't know what it is, but those movies back in the late 80s and early 90s, you had just a string of them. I don't know why I always think of the movie Hoffa. But it's one of it's tight like that. That was Danny DeVito directing.
Yeah.
And it's, you can tell it's just made for adults. It's not a great movie by any means, but just the way it goes about everything. It's like, oh yeah, this is an adult picture.
That scene where Jim Carrey finds him and digs him up is funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. They sure don't make them like that anymore.
They don't make them like that. There's no school like the old school.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean,
it's just hard to see the Prestige go because it feels like it deserved to be in another round or two.
I know. I almost want to shake up this whole bracket and we can do it again.
Yeah.
Shake it up like Yahtzee dice.
Wow, Untouchables moving on.
Untouchables is moving on, and all right. So now that
thought we'd get through 6.
that takes us to the 6 and 11 seed, Out of Sight, the 6 seed, versus number 11, Jurassic Park.
God, just give it to Jurassic Park and let's do another one. I'm joking, by the way.
I was about to say, I don't think it's that cut and dried.
I'm just, I'm the Out of Sight champion. I wasn't here when you guys picked that one. Very glad you picked it in my absence. I don't think anyone's going to argue for that movie more than me, but this feels like the easiest choice that I've seen in the bracket so far, because I just don't think there's anything in Out of Sight that can stand up to the grandeur and the awe of what Jurassic Park is. Now, granted, I am the guy who voted for Sideways over LA Confidential.
Yeah,
true.
So maybe I should shut my ass when it comes to grandeur and spectacle and just talk about these movies.
I don't know where this is going already. I don't know what I'm picking yet.
Me neither.
Because this is another one of those matchups where you've got the smaller movie over here, and you have the big, it's the big, amazing spectacle that Jurassic Park is. They're completely different movies, and you would never have to make this choice in real life.
No, thank God.
Out of Sight is the higher seed here. It won its year.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I would say, definitely Soderbergh's best movie.
I think we can say that. What else would contend?
There are others in there like
Oceans
that we love, like Ocean's 11 and like The Informant.
The Limey.
In the Limey, yeah. And there are movies in there that may like contend, but Out of Sight's got all that. It's got the great Elmore Leonard like template to this. It is Soderbergh playing with like editing, like he's still experimenting. Even a movie that's still got that sort of Pulp Fiction-y vibe or whatever. Like, it's, I mean, it may be Clooney's best performance too.
It's one of them.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much technique in a movie that's just basically it's a robbery movie. It's not really there's not much else to it.
Well,
than that.
it's a love story.
It is, but I'm just saying that every movie's got a fucking love story in it.
Yeah. I cannot believe that I believe this love story, though.
No.
Because not only is it, cop and robber falling in love with each other, like, it's Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney. At the time, the two hottest people on the planet, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, man, their chemistry just...
It's sex on screen.
Insane.
It's just really fire.
Yeah.
Like, and it's no more well articulated than that scene in the bar at the top of the hotel where the jabronis come up one at a time and try and buy her a drink and fall all over themselves being idiots, and then he just walks up and clicks his lighter. Buy a drink. I'd love one.
Yeah.
I love that dude who comes up and he's like, we just came in from New York, the Apple.
Yeah. I like when she recounts, like, because she's Celeste and he's Gary at first, and they're faking these personas. And it's like, what are you doing here? And she regurgitates that guy's story that he predicted about her. Oh, I'm mad because they don't want to hire me because I'm a girl.
This is we've talked about Kate Hudson in Almost Famous, where you thought she was just going to explode after that. The same thing with Jennifer Lopez.
Nothing anywhere near that.
She
I know
did.
Selena was before.
She did explode, but it wasn't due to her acting career.
Yeah.
It was her pop recording career,
Yep.
which we did not expect at all.
And her high-profile love life. Like, she dated Puff Daddy and Ben Affleck.
But after Selena and this, I mean, it seemed like she was destined to be, someone we'd be seeing in movies and welcoming those movies. I mean, she, much like Kate Hudson, started doing all this stuff like The Wedding Planner and all this bullshit.
Enough.
Yeah, she did a lot of these, a lot of these stupid thriller movies. Yep. I mean, it just... kind of Halle Berry did that, although Halle Berry was kind of, I think, has a little bit better career than
I'm going to go
Lopez.
out on a limb right now. The next Fast and Furious movie, not the one coming this year, The Fate of the Furious, the one after that, Jennifer Lopez is going to be added to the cast.
Yeah, she'll be all like ripped up and like...
That is exactly the kind of person I would expect them to add to the
Bank
cast.
on it. Bank on it, for sure.
I will bank on it and spank on it.
Although, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The only reason I made that joke is when he first said bank on it, I thought I heard him say spank on it. So it was in my brain. Of course, it had to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if they're going to get Charlize Theron, what are you doing, Charlize?
Yeah.
We got to sit down and talk. We got to sit down and talk for a second. No.
We do, Charlize.
Absolutely. Anyway, Out of Sight is a great movie. Filled with fun dialogue, and the caper's fun too. Don Cheadle. This is maybe his best performance.
It really is. He comes to life in this character in a way that I don't think he ever has.
So I disagree with you on three things that you said.
Wow,
Okay.
keeping score.
Don Cheadle, I think, had a better performance in Hotel Rwanda.
Okay.
I think
Fuck that
Traffic is Steven Soderbergh's best movie.
You could have said that earlier.
That's like
I
5
tried.
notches down. You're so wrong, Barrett.
And then Clooney's best performance, I think, is The Descendants.
I think you could have 2 or 3 Clooney performances in the discussion, but this would be one of them.
Okay.
What I like about this Clooney
How
performance...
strongly do you feel about that? real strong about it, or you just bringing us up to be an asshole?
Well, I wouldn't bring it up if it weren't for the third thing that I disagree with you on, the Don Cheadle thing. I was just making conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will not get in the way to separate you two. I'll just watch.
Okay, fine. Hotel fucking Rwanda.
The reason that
it's one of his best. Maybe I should have just couched it that way and just said it's one of his best, and then we just go on, with our lives here. No, I'm just kidding.
The reason that I bring that up is that yes, I agree that there are better performances or better movies, but everybody works super fucking well together. Ving Rhames, except for maybe Pulp Fiction, is just window dressing essentially in Mission Impossible movies. In this, he's the sidekick, he's the B character, he's this and that kind of thing. But he brings a bit of a heft to the, not physically, well, physically too, but to this movie.
You buy that they've been friends for decades, right? And that they are lifelong pals and what have you. And yeah, he's really good in this, even though he is sort of window dressing.
He does get that intimidating presence occasionally, though, because when they're having their standoff at the fight and everything, and White Boy Bob is spouting off, and he's like, he puts his glasses on. What you gonna do about it, white boy? You're like, oh yeah, he's a badass.
He's like, Clooney calls Cheadle Snoop, and White Boy Bob's hey. And he's like, we don't go with the whole Snoop thing anymore. He's like, but you call this fool White Boy Bob?
Cheadle is almost like Darth Vader in this, where it's like, he tells people this is how it's gonna go, and then changes his mind as it goes along and everything. The scene with Steve Zahn where he's telling him, basically you thought it was going to go this way and now it's not. Yeah. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Is exactly the type of point there. Steve Zahn's great in this too.
Steve Zahn's like, I think we're forgetting about how this is my whip. And Cheadle just laughs at him. If I say this is my car, this is my car.
But yeah, man, this is just good all the way throughout. It does go against Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Now this is not by any means Spielberg's best.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes to show what kind of career he has.
Yeah.
That a movie like this is still probably I don't know, maybe 5th, 6th on it.
It's up in there, yeah.
Somewhere around there. But this is something that sort of brought real blockbuster magic back to the movies.
Yeah.
There was for a while there was sort of a dearth of that kind of really good popcorn movie. I feel like summer pop. Now I'm sure we can go back and find some summer popcorn action movies that were good or whatever.
They're not as memorable.
They're not nearly as memorable as this. This was, back in the day, you could say this was Jaws on land because it was the T-Rex was Jaws this time, and the characters weren't as compelling as Jaws. I think I remember hearing Roger Ebert say you could put the whole plot of this movie on little. He was bagging on the the product placement or the product tie-in it had with it was either McDonald's or Burger King or something like that, where he's like, yep, this is the type of movie that the whole plot you can put on the side of a cup that you get at Burger King or whatever. Still, I think that's still dismissing it.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Because Grant is a great character, I think. Sam Neill is awesome, and it's one of those type of things where you're like, yeah, he can believably take us through this park. He's a dinosaur expert.
Mm-hmm. I love peak Sam Neill.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard Attenborough is good in this too. Hammond is a somewhat terrifying character of how business interests go above people's interests and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's a tale as old as time.
Well, in the book, Hammond is just pure evil.
Yeah,
There's no lovable granddaddy to him at all. The movie, I kind of enjoy that more. It's almost like he just never really stopped to think about the consequences, like Ian Malcolm says to him.
Yeah.
And this launches a 3 or 4 year period where oddly Jeff Goldblum is the highest grossing acting star in the world, because between this and its sequel and the Independence Day movie right in the middle, No 3-4 year period, nobody had been in movies that made more money than him. Him and Sam Jackson, I think, were taking turns there for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, like, because Goldblum was just sort of this weird actor that we had been seeing throughout the 80s and a little bit of the 70s, but then suddenly he's like this like action leading man, especially by Lost World, where they basically just make him the main character and everything.
He's so cool. You know, a mathematician being cool in this movie. It does make it. I could see where Ebert says that. That's extremely reductive, especially given the book, because the book is so great and so dense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really goes into, you know, chaos and then how, you know, evolution, life finds a way, as he says. And it does reduce it. But, I mean, any movie that makes scientists cool, but not outlandish. Like, they're not like punching the dinosaur in the face or something like that.
Oh man,
getting away.
Jurassic World 2. Are you paying attention?
Well, actually, yeah. But no, in this movie, they're not superheroes. Like, they figure out, you know, on the fly a way to do this and do that and that kind of thing, and it grounds it in some sort of a reality in this universe, and then of course the effects ground it into a reality too, to where it looks like it's actual dinosaurs roaming around.
Well, and that's what I was hoping to get to eventually, because that's the main thing, right? The effects is what we're here watching this movie for. It is still to this day the best. I mean, it's some of the best effects we've ever seen in a movie at all.
Yep.
They've gotten to the point now where it's just like, well, we'll just do a digital effect. It'll be fine or whatever. It didn't have the same sort of care that Stan Winston and his big crew of special effects people. I mean, there's like a number of like legendary special effects people on this, but Stan Winston doing the animatronics, and then you have the digital sort of like blending in a perfect harmony where it's like, hey, this actually looks real. They look like they're in danger. It's not like some computer sprite on the screen.
There's actually a term for that, where when you see an effects image that's too perfect, your brain processes it as fake. There's actually a name for that effect.
Yeah, I don't
know what it is, but I'll Google it and not tell these people later.
All right.
It's already in the comments, like, oh, that's called, you know, Zepadagu.
That's called the Romnenson syndrome.
Reverse Gestalt.
Yeah, but another tremendously suspenseful film. I mean, Spielberg does what he kind of does with Jaws. I mean, except this time we're seeing the creatures a little bit more. But it's excellent. I mean, the water rippling and which is, you know, has been now emulated a million times and parodied and all that. Is just great. Just hearing the sound in the background and everything. I love the scene where I love the shot of showing the like T-Rex's like little arm touching the fence and saying, "Ooh, not electrified anymore." And
so many iconic shots in this that we all remember, right? The T-Rex at the end with the banner falling down, the T-Rex's eye outside the Jeep, that first wide awe shot when Sam Neill sees all the herds out at the watering hole or what have. There's so many shots that are iconic. Like, most movies are lucky to get one good iconic lasting image that stays with you. This movie has like 6 or 7. Of course, it's Spielberg, but it's also a great movie.
Yeah.
What I like about this is that it doesn't suffer from the too many villains syndrome.
Yep.
Even though ostensibly the Velociraptors are the real villain in this.
Sure.
And those things are freaking terrifying, man, because
because no one's tamed them yet.
Yeah.
Turned them into bros.
With clicky things.
Right.
But I mean, they're terrifying because they travel in packs and they're smart and they learn and they're communicating and that kind of thing. And, you know, the T-Rex is going to, except for the last scene, he's going to announce himself when he's getting, you know, close by. With the Velociraptors, they can sneak up on you and everything, and they're almost human size. So it's just kind of like, it's that extra level of tension that if you had like a Jaws type of script where this is the big bad that's hunting you one way or another, I think it would have suffered from it. These are just like supports, basically, these other dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, and the sequel even shows us more dangers. But this first one does, though, with the spitting dinosaur that kills Newman, and then the little compies.
Yeah.
Well, the second one.
Yeah, the compies in the second one, yeah.
But they were in the first book, which is why I always get them confused.
Yeah. Well,
compies, they're the ones that kill Hammond in the book.
Well, that's the thing. In the books, there were all sorts of cool shit that they couldn't do, like the dinosaur that blended in, and that was in Lost World, I believe. And then I think they had like a real awesome pterodactyl scene in the Lost World, but like then they tried to do it in Jurassic Park 3, and it wasn't nearly as good. They had an aviary, I believe.
Oh, right.
In Lost World, the book.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that well to know. But I remember that there wasn't any shitty gymnastics action.
There was definitely not any gymnastics going on in the book.
But we're now talking about the wrong
Well, there
Jurassic
wasn't.
Park.
Yeah, there wasn't even an adopted daughter in the Lost World.
No, they were some other kids.
Yeah.
There were kids in the second one.
It wasn't even an adopted daughter. They were just saying it was his daughter, so it may have been his daughter. I thought it was an adopted daughter, but I don't know.
In the movie?
Yeah, in the movie.
Oh, they don't really ever say.
They never say.
And in the book, she's not related to him, but there are two kids there in the second.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah. Jurassic Park. Just everything that I think about is even the scene with Wayne Knight, the suspenseful like. You don't think that little thing's going to kill him?
Yeah.
There's no way. But then
yet you still know something's wrong here.
Yeah. He becomes extremely terrifying. And that's the thing about this movie is like, I think a lot of people like me sort of romanticize the T-Rex as the only thing that was like really dangerous as far as dinosaurs are concerned. Maybe I was the only one. I don't know. T-Rex is the only thing I ever thought of as like the dangerous dinosaur. And then the velociraptors, I never, it hurt. I mean, who knows how much of it's true and how much of it they made up, but that's terrifying.
Yeah.
All those things like that they're able to think about this type of stuff. They're problem solvers. That's
clever girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we got two big movies here: Out of Sight versus Jurassic Park. What's our order?
You're first.
You're up again.
Okay.
Pressure's on.
I feel like technique wise, Out of Sight is a better movie than Jurassic Park. The editing in this, especially that amazing, Jennifer Lopez, George Clooney scene that we always talk about when it's going back and forth between them. That's the scene that I always think about. And I think about Don Cheadle and I think about Albert Brooks and a lot of fun characters and everything. I'm not going against Jurassic Park here though.
Yeah, it's hard to go against.
I just realized Sam Jackson is in both of these movies.
He is.
Yeah.
Barely at the end of Out of Sight.
Barely, but one of the best cameos ever.
Yeah. Jurassic Park was and this is not factoring into my decision, but I started working movie theaters 1 week after this movie opened. And I remember because I was an usher mainly when I first started, this is the first crowd reaction movie that I ever dealt with, because I would walk in and watch certain scenes while you're checking the theater, quote unquote. Yeah. And the scene where the lawyer is in the outhouse, and the T-Rex comes in, and I think it's easy. I think at this point, and this could have been just my 16-year-old mind, I didn't think he was going to get eaten. And I don't think a lot of people thought he was going to get eaten, because it's such a humorous situation that they set up. He's in this outhouse. The outhouse blows down. He's like on a toilet in the middle of the woods. It's such an absurd looking thing. And everybody's kind of laughing. And then the T-Rex comes down and chomps him up. And it's so like what? That actually happened? It is the more popular movie. It's the one that made the most money, but I'm not picking it because of that. I just think overall this is just my jam over Out of Sight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Jurassic Park. And I really don't think anybody in this room loves Out of Sight more than I do. And it is firing on all cylinders. It's technically proficient. If it were a student in school, it would get high marks and contend for valedictorian. What it doesn't have, and this may just be showing my age, is just raw magic. Right? The magic that a big budget summer blockbuster can give you, at least if it's in capable hands and it doesn't star Vin Diesel. I think Jurassic Park is a classic. I think it will be a classic in 80 years, much the way Gone with the Wind is a classic today. I love you, Out of Sight. You were never going to win this thing. You never had a shot.
Yep.
You were an outside chance anyway. But sorry, Barrett. Jurassic Park is going to take it.
That's fine. I would have a rough time. I am with you, Jeremy, and maybe with all of us in my love of Out of Sight. I think it's one of the most perfectly paced movies I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
and I think the editing is A+, like all the way around. And it has actually like a competitive score with Jurassic Park, because it's great the way that they do that, but it's not da 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 da. And for that shot alone, almost, I think I would the music paired with that big wide shot of the field, I would pick this, but I would have a rough time explaining how I would vote for Out of Sight over Jurassic Park. So I got to pick that too. It's a unanimous.
I mean, we had a similar, decision when it was Amelie versus E.T.
Yeah.
And this is what kept going through my head here was like, I did pick Amelie over E.T. I do like Jurassic Park more than I like E.T., and I may like Out of Sight a little bit less than I like Amelie. So it's kind of a weird, like, plate tectonic type of thing going on there.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just laid waste to a lot of good movies.
No kidding, man.
That's what this whole bracket is. It's just line them up and shoot them.
Maybe they can just go down to like the NIT level and they can battle each other.
Yeah. We have a losers bracket.
Everybody loves the consolation bracket.
A question to you, Barrett. Were people... Oh, well, actually, I guess were people upset that we stopped an hour into that last episode and did questions for another, 50 minutes or so?
No.
Because they weren't?
Is that the one that we posted Monday?
It was the last.
I haven't seen anything like that.
Okay, just asking.
Oh, no.
Well, I know. I was thinking. I was like, maybe they did. Because I've been editing this last one. I'm trying to tease out which is which.
I'm the same way. I've got the one that comes out and the one we just did, and then the next one that we're doing all thrown in. But I know it was this one because I was listening to it and I was like, okay, hour into this, we started getting into the questions. And I was like, when we say we don't have time to get to the other ones, we're like spending 50 minutes on questions. I wonder if people get upset at that.
So far,
I don't think I've seen anything like that.
Yeah, it gives it a little bit of variety too.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the way. That's the reason why we're doing it this way instead of going to the very end with bracket picks, because we got to give something else into this.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I am listening.
All right, first question. What movie would you like to see done in one take, like Birdman or Victoria? This listener would personally love to see Die Hard because it all takes place in one night. Now, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
Anything action is immediately going to be extremely difficult to do. Now, I would love to see a one-take Die Hard, but we're thinking like if we could make this happen.
Yeah.
I would like to see a Fast and Furious movie done in one take.
It's crazy.
Instead of the bullshit that constantly barrages the screen, I would really be able to dig these movies, by the way, if they would just take out 50% of the cuts and the other different little angles and all this bullshit that they keep doing. Can you imagine a movie like this where there's chase scenes and all this just ridiculous action done in one shot?
Yeah, I mean, you could get it almost. This is not my pick, but like a Mad Max Fury Road in one shot.
Yeah.
That would be kind of like that, right? A Fast and Furious, a caper that you start from beginning to end.
Yeah,
but that movie was almost impossible to film as it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you're right.
This would be on a smaller scale, obviously.
Yeah. I would like to see, in a sense that you're saying that it would make things feel more realistic.
It would make it, that's the thing. For me, I'm taken out of a movie instantly once they show something impossible, but they go to 5 different angles of something. For instance, him driving the car off the cliff in one of those Fast and the Furious movies.
One of them.
One of them.
I think it was Triple X.
Who the fuck knows? The one with Jaimin Hansu in it is one I'm thinking. I think it's 6, but who knows? I don't want to speak out of turn here and get people upset. Those Fast and the Furious people. But it's like the car like falling off the cliff, and it's like here's that angle, and then another angle, and then when it crashes, there's like 5 more crash shots and everything. It's way more breathtaking to see it in one shot.
Yeah.
And of course, when we say one take, I do want to say this. We know it's not all in like one camera motion. Like they turn the camera on, the whole movie happens, and then they turn it off. That'd be like something almost impossible. They would have to find ways to cut, like, get up on somebody's like jacket or something black or something like, that they can make a seamless cut on after a 10-minute take.
Just what they did in Birdman. Like they would
and
focus
rope,
up.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So they would have to do it that way, but I would love to see action just filmed that way. And the Fast and Furious movie, so fucking crazy. One take. Oh man, I might like that.
Awesome.
I might like that.
Was Rope one take? Or
it was shot that way. It was based on a play. And this is why, like, usually when you say you want to do a one take movie, you think, it's always something that's kind of like contained in one room. And Birdman wasn't one room, but it was essentially the bar, the theater, and like, but Rope was all in one apartment. And basically Hitchcock shot that with, I think it was 10-minute takes. And then every end of the 10 minutes, he would like find a way to get on somebody's jacket or something like that, where it would cover the entire screen with the same thing. And then that way he could just go to the next thing, start on that guy, and then come back out. And it looks like seamless when it's all edited together. Rope, by the way, really interesting movie.
I need to see that. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Never seen Rope?
No.
It's have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
It starts off with two friends murdering their friend, and then seeing if they can get away with having the body at a party that they have called over.
Weekend at Bernie's, basically.
They put him in a box, basically, and they see if they can conduct an entire party with this body there, and is anybody going to figure it out? And it's basically a big series of conversations and stuff like that. And like Jimmy Stewart's in it. He's their teacher that they apparently got this idea from, like that murder is okay. The whole time the party people are like, where is this guy? Where is he? It's like, oh, he's never like this and all that type of stuff. And there's like, there's one guy who's sweating it out and another guy who's just very cool about it the entire time. So it's a very fun movie to watch.
I got to check it out.
What's
your pick?
Okay, so again, like you, I think this would be incredibly hard to do. But I'm going to go with one of the Ocean's movies, Ocean's 11.
Oh yeah.
Because I think you could do a lot of fun stuff with the 11 different heist members, right? So you could have one as a dealer, at Bernie Mac, but somebody in the background, Casey Affleck, you follow him all the way across the casino just in time to see Brad Pitt come out with a box and hand it off to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you could do a lot of stuff to keep everybody, always somebody on frame that we care about. So I just think that would be a fun way to watch a heist unwind.
Yeah.
Because I think it would add to the tension if it felt like it was all in real time in one take.
Yeah.
You can actually see elements of that in in Soderbergh's version.
You can.
Where when they're in the midst of the heist, you'll see Andy Garcia going past Clooney or somebody in the thing, and then you'll see Affleck and Scott Conn in the background, that kind of thing.
Yeah. In a way, that's kind of like how Slacker was done. Richard Linklater, his first movie. The Slacker is it starts off with it's actually him, Linklater, in the back of a taxi cab. And there's this, and how, Linklater movies that are really conversational are really conversational.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's going on. Like Waking Life is like that too, where it's like just a bunch of conversations. But he's in the taxi, and then like as he gets out of the taxi, somebody walks in front of the frame, and then we're following those people now.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And so that's why, I do believe Ocean's 11 could work that way.
Yeah.
It would be fun to do it that way.
I think it would be cool to see.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome. You see all the different components come together for the whole heist.
Yeah. Remember when they did that live episode of ER?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's sort of what we're talking about here, right?
Mhm.
Like, if you practice enough, you can almost pull off any kind of ballet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could do a Fast and Furious movie as they're currently scripted.
Yeah.
But if you altered the script to be a little more confined and fit, I think if you were patient enough and practiced enough, you could get there.
Yeah, and my pick is kind of in that vein because it was based on a play, 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What the movie didn't do, it did cut it up, and it would have perspective from the outside, the window, and things like that. But it did spend a lot of time in this one room with these 12 men trying to basically get done with this. It's a cut and dry case and everything. And there's one person that disagrees, and then you see how over the course of the movie where he ends up convincing everybody else except for one until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And think about how cool that would be, kind of similar to your idea of like going from person to person, having somebody just kind of take a break off stage or something like that and be able to really get into like the human element of this in close up and everything. I think this one actually could practically work pretty well in a one shot.
For sure.
And I think that one shot would add to the anxiety of this whole story that they're telling too, because if I remember correctly, the heat has something to do with it in the movie, where like it's just everybody's sweating and it's just kind
They
of
just
like,
want to get out of there.
exactly. It's just it's almost oppressive, and then the more your brain gets activated, the doubt creeps in, and then you start changing hearts and minds. And
This is
everything.
a fantastic movie.
It's
Yep.
so good.
And it might also work in 360.
Oh yeah.
Like if you staged it like a play and that everyone was always performing,
Mm-hmm.
stick a 360 camera in the middle of that table, and you let the viewer at home choose who they're looking at what point.
Yeah.
Where you might see the racist guy's reaction to something somebody says on the other side of the room that's noble. Anyway, you get a different experience every time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love that pick. Good call.
That would be fun. By the way, that ER episode, the cool little touch they put in that was having a Cubs game on in the background.
Oh yeah.
That was, and you could flip to WGN and watch that game that was going. It was so cool. Nice touch that they threw in there.
They actually, I think they did it twice, East Coast and West
Yeah.
Coast. And I think they had a couple mistakes in the West Coast one, but the East Coast one was like flawless. It's like, nice job, guys. Good job.
After you do that first one, you get cocky.
Yeah, you do. And you have a couple drinks.
Yeah,
You get a little
exactly.
slippery.
What would be your dream character to kill you in a movie, and which character would you choose to investigate the murder and avenge your death?
This is some dark shit.
Fucked up question. I love
This
it.
is just dark.
Yeah.
Person who wrote this,
Yeah.
what do you draw? I bet you draw ghosts.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger fingers.
Draws monsters in class. They're their typical horror movie cliche.
Or
Where,
it's Jonah Hill. He just draws dicks on everything.
yeah, he draws dicks. He's the horror movie cliche. Like every kid's in horror movies. Like the parents get concerned. Like she's acting weird. Here's some pictures she's been drawing. Oh, it's the same shit in every other horror movie. That's crazy.
Something black and
Yeah.
terrible.
How in the fuck was she able to do the exact same picture that was in that last horror movie that I watched?
I have a quick and easy one for this. I would like to be killed by George Clooney's character in Burn After Reading.
Yeah.
Just as he kills Brad Pitt's character. Because everybody in that movie seems to have the best intentions. Like, either they're clueless or they're just like, oh, no, this will definitely work out, And Brad Pitt's character ends up breaking into the house and everything, and Clooney, almost completely by accident, blows his head off. Complete reactionary thing. So it'd be quick and just absurd, and I'm okay with going that way. But it is a crime scene that he does flee, and he has the CIA clean up after him. So I would like Marge Gunderson from Fargo to investigate my
Nice.
death.
Oh, Margie.
Keeping it all Coen brothers in that universe.
And Frances McDormand's playing double duty in that
she
universe.
is. She's the one getting
Flower needs a
screwed
jump.
by the Clooney.
Yeah.
But I mean, she is tenacious, man. She is going to find Clooney in both movies.
That's right.
And after she gets done having sex with him, then she's going to investigate my murder. And she is going to avenge me, man, because she's dogged.
That's right.
That's right.
You do know that police, it's not their job to avenge people who've been killed.
Really?
Just to find who did the killing and arrest them. But like avenge, that's like a whole nother level.
You've just blown my world, man. Because I thought that's what they were supposed to do.
I'm just saying.
Avenge me!
Avenge me. I want V to kill me from V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
And I want him to do me like he did the morgue lady. In bed with a painless poison. Right? Silent but deadly. I wake up. Oh, I'm going to die in a few minutes, but he's going to give me a chance to say sorry.
Yep.
And he's going to tell me sorry. It's never too late to say sorry. So I have an opportunity here to confess some things before I die. I'm going to be killed in a painless fashion by an iconic guy wearing a Guy Fawkes mask. Right? I'm almost contributing to the revolution by dying at this guy's hand. And then for the investigator, I pick on a non-cop, Jake Gyllenhaal from Zodiac. Because he's fucking relentless and obsessed.
Yeah.
You want to talk about obsessed people, he loses everything a couple different times. And if somebody's going to be investigating my death, I want it to be somebody who's going to take that shit personally and really like divorce their wife, as long as they still haven't found my killer. Like that's the kind of dedication I want.
What happens when is he going to find him?
I don't know. Just
What
because he
happens
didn't
when he
find
finds
Zodiac
V?
doesn't mean he won't find Mike. He got closer to Zodiac than anybody else who was a professional cop.
That's true. I don't know. V's pretty. He's a smart cookie. He's going to really have to do some research to get to that dude.
Well,
and then what happens when he finds him? He's going to get sliced up, right?
No, he's going to find a body in the rubble under Parliament.
Oh, okay.
He's dead, but
So
he
it's
can
gonna be
still
after November
he can
5th.
still find out who killed me.
And you could get Mark Ruffalo to avenge you. Yeah, you can get that. Not his character. Not his character. Just Mark Ruffalo.
The actor.
Okay. I want to be killed by Famke Janssen's character in GoldenEye.
Yes.
Xenia Onata.
Yes.
A lot of vagina.
Exactly. They were
a great way to
even.
go.
It was like a sort of a It was the comeback for James Bond. It was the longest period of time that they had ever gone between Bonds after the Timothy Dalton debacles and stuff
Is
like
she
that.
the one in the sauna fight scene, sex scene?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's the one who crushes men to death with her legs.
Yeah, that's why she's
That's
on
the way
top.
to go. Yeah, that's the way to go right there.
And she gets pleasure out of it.
Yes,
She's
she
like,
does.
Oh!
Yeah. That's prime Famke Janssen right there, baby. Oh my God. Yeah, if you're gonna go, you might as well at least be close to orgasm if you're not like, really
Orgasm adjacent.
Exactly. Whatever word we were trying to come up with before.
I like how Chris just assumes I can't get an orgasm from finding out V killed me with poison.
Yeah, yeah.
on.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Got
was
a good couple minutes.
I
telling you.
didn't want to infer that. All right, and so I want. We're going back to Fincher territory here. I'm going to get Morgan Freeman as Detective Somerset.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
To he's seen some shit.
Yeah.
He has seen some shit, man, and he's going to be able to do now. Now, as far as the Avenge concerns, it's going to have to be Mills, but he's probably in jail for life after the end of 7.
Well,
maybe
he's
he
still
can-
pissed, though.
He's still
Maybe
pissed.
Somerset catches him, puts him in prison. Mills kills him in
Mills
prison.
kills him in prison
Oh,
before
nice.
making him his bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time he gives him a present, he says, "What's in the box?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you have the Phil Hartman thing in So I Married an Axe Murderer. Took turns pissing in the bitch's ocular cavities.
Vicky's the best.
Moving on. Oh, let's do one or two more
Can
here.
you cue me in my A?
Yep. What actor or actress has let you down over the years, but you believe he
Andy
or
McDowell.
she...
Oh, wait. I should wait.
Wait a minute. She's never been in a position to let me down.
I just tried to pick a random name.
Olivia Newton-John.
Corbin Burnson.
He was going to be so great after Major League and L.A. Law.
And that Seinfeld cameo.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Okay, so which actor or actress has let you down? No,
Don't let me down.
But you believe he or she can make a comeback. This listener's pick is Will Smith. Good one.
Will Smith is a good one. I mean, that guy was as money as it gets at one point, and now like his choices are weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I mean, you could say maybe age, but he looks pretty much the same as he did. I mean, he doesn't look the same as he did in his Fresh Prince of Bel-Air days or anything, but I mean, the guy looks pretty much the same. So he's either not getting the scripts or he actually has the power to get the scripts and he's not getting the right ones.
I mean, you choose Suicide Squad and Collateral Beauty, but he turned down Django Unchained.
Yeah. Well, and I can see a good I mean, he had a good reason for that, but there was like, I mean, still, at the same time, what you're saying, you know, you're an actor.
Yeah.
You know, you're not like endorsing anything by being in a movie. I'm going to go with a really easy one here. Robert De Niro.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know if De Niro is in a place where he wants to, and he definitely doesn't need to.
Yep.
And he's even been Oscar nominated recently with Silver Linings Playbook. Even though I still don't agree with that, really. I think he's still the same bullshit De Niro we're getting with a lot of other stuff he does. He just was in a higher profile movie and he got the nomination. It's not like we're sitting there looking at De Niro and Silver Linings Playbook and that's on par with the work he did in Taxi Driver. But I would like to see him, you know, and I'm sure that the work he's done over the years, he's tired, man. He's done. He's
gained and lost all that weight as Jake LaMotta.
He's done. Yeah, I mean, he's done that method thing for so long. I think he's glad to finally be able to just kind of like, you know what, fuck it. I just want to just be in a movie and just kind of say my lines and then move on. You know, he's not really. But I'd like for just one more time. And I know he's going to get with Scorsese again.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be happening soon.
It
would be nice to see him finally go, you know what? This is going to be one of my last like big moments to be great. I'm going to do this.
What's funny is maybe that Scorsese movie is going to be like a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
It's
actually analyze this 3.
Yeah, Bad Grandpa too. But yeah, I'd like to see De Niro great again. I don't feel like De Niro has been great since Jackie Brown, and that was 97, 20 years ago.
Yeah. He's great in the Untouchables.
Was he in Hotel Rwanda too, Barrett?
I love when Costner confronts him in Untouchables at the hotel, and he's like, "You don't got the bookkeeper. You got nothing."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's so great for so long. And I think it's important to point out, even the question asker submits Will Smith. We're not saying these people aren't stars anymore. We're talking about the quality of their work and the quality of the films that they've decided to make. And that's why my answer is Bruce fucking Willis.
Oh, nice one.
I can't pinpoint when he quit caring, but that dude is over it. Yep. And all you have to do is watch Good Day to Die Hard to see an actor who is over it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised he didn't walk in the middle of that movie. That's how little fun he was having. And I don't know what it takes, because we've seen it's way beyond just Die Hard. He's been engaging in plenty of things. Pulp Fiction, he's great in Nobody's Fool. He's had a lot of varied roles that, I mean, even that movie Hostage, he's engaging in that. But he's just made so many forgettable movies.
Yeah.
And when the movies aren't forgettable, he's kind of forgettable in them. And I don't know what's going through his mind anymore. Maybe the whole Demi Moore breakup, getting with Ashton Kutcher, kind of fucked him up. Because it would have fucked me up if my wife left me for Ashton Kutcher.
That's one of those all-time it didn't fuck him up things.
On the surface.
Because they were all friends.
On the surface.
You're right.
I'm telling you, deep down, he wants to kill Ashton Kutcher. He wants to shiv that guy.
Not just kill him, shiv him.
Yeah,
Shiv him.
That's right. You might be right there. You might be. It could be just the fact too that the scripts he's getting are so awful, and he knows he's got to still make money.
Sure,
but that doesn't excuse it. I mean, he should still be able to do something better than he's doing. These Expendables movies where he's obviously slumming it.
Yeah.
And he's slumming it so bad that he gets
not even in it.
Gets kicked off of Expendables 3. But yeah, it's a good one. I think he's somebody that I'd like to see come back and be like awesome again.
There's talent there. I just wanted to come back out. I don't begrudge anybody getting to the Christopher Walken phase of their acting career where they're just like, fuck it, give me a check, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I do wish some more of them would break through that.
I'm going to choose somebody that's still in his prime. I was thinking about taking Pacino. That's really pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to choose Owen Wilson.
Oh.
Because I think Chris and I were having this discussion pretty recently. I think there's more there that he hasn't really let out. After Midnight in Paris, which showed maybe his greatest potential as not just a straight comedic performance, but like, nuanced and things like that. We were talking about how he wrote Rushmore too, or co-wrote Rushmore.
Yep.
I think there's more talent and thought there. Since Midnight in Paris, he's done stuff like Night of the Museum 3, Zoolander 2, Cars 3 coming up. He did the Cars sequel and everything. He's doing Shanghai Dawn, and it's like
they're doing another one of those.
Yeah, man.
God damn it!
But couldn't you see him being? You were mentioning, Chris. You mentioned like a movie where he played against type, where it was like a serial killer.
The Minus Man.
Yeah, the Minus Man.
Yeah,
and I think if he tapped into something that was just out of his wheelhouse, you can tell there's a lot of smarts there.
Remember when Dane Cook was in Mr. Brooks?
Yep.
I do remember
Owen
that.
Wilson could do that kind of role.
Absolutely.
Where it's somebody you expect to be funny, but they end up being creepy and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
I think I always felt like he had more talent than he gave the effort on, and he just got by on charm.
Well, and since the Royal Tannenbaums, I don't believe he has a writing credit. Like he and Wes Anderson were like, that they were like writing partners or whatever, and either Owen Wilson, who knows why people don't do what they do anymore, but I feel like that, that would be a awesome thing too, if he could get back into the writing and like do something like Bottle Rocket or whatever like that that character in Bottle
awesome.
Rocket is awesome. So
because he's invested when he's in these things. You can tell with the Woody Allen thing, like he's just invested. And his own stuff obviously too, but he's not invested in Cars 3 or Zoolander 2 or
Marley
shit like
and
that.
Me.
Marley and Me, freaking
Our buddy Dave lives with us.
What was the Kate Hudson and Matt Dillon thing
God.
they did? You, Me, and Dupree.
You, Me, and Dupree.
Yeah, that's what I was talking. Our buddy Dave lives with us.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Dupree.
Another fantastic Kate Hudson movie.
There you go.
In that decade.
Do not miss.
Yeah.
Do
Good
not
stuff.
miss.
All right, you want to do one more quick one?
All right, we got a quick one.
Hold on. Sorry, I lost it. Here it is.
Want to do a quick one? I can't find it.
I've discovered the cure for the plague of the 20th century and I've lost it.
Is that from Medicine Man?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, my God. Oh, shit.
Most random Connery quote ever. Oh, man.
All right. Who is one of your favorite B-movie actors or actresses that you wish had broken into the mainstream? Jeremy?
I always liked me some Richard Grieco from 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Hit that show. Now, my recollection is this. Now, I watched every episode of 21 Jump Street when it aired originally. Like,
Really?
I was in middle school and high school when this show was airing. Perfect fantasy for a kid my age. What if some of my fellow students are cops, busting all the drugs? So Johnny Depp gets pretty famous after a couple seasons of this show and moves on to films. And that's when they brought in Richard Grieco to be the new crybaby heartthrob character. And the show was always kind of bringing in new characters here and there. And, he went on to, I don't know if he's made a single movie that I could respect.
I don't think so.
But my memory of him on that show was that he was every bit as good on that show as Johnny Depp was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Johnny Depp on that show wasn't showing us the depth of his full talent, and maybe Grieco was. And that's as far as he goes. I don't know. But there was a lot of people from that show, like Peter DeLuise, Dom DeLuise's son. Always thought he was really charming on that show and funny as the comic relief. but Richard Greco.
I think it's Grieco.
I think it's Grieco as well.
Richard Grieco,
Mm-hmm.
who I just remember on all these B covers in the video store back when video stores were a
Yes.
I remember they played the shit out of that trailer for If Looks Could Kill.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was him in the prime of his teeny bopper era. And they get to the end of it and he's like looking over his sunglasses. He's like, hey, no problem. Richard Grieco in If Looks Could Kill. For me, I think even though he was in Hail Caesar and Highlander, I think Christopher Lambert qualifies.
Christopher
I don't know.
Lambert.
You know what? It's an interesting pick. I think Lambert was probably held back by his accent more than anybody.
His Frenchiness.
But he made it work when he wasn't. I think about Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
I thought he was awesome in Mortal Kombat.
He was.
Now, again, thinnest kid at fat camp, but
right.
He's got this intensity to him. Part of it, which is his delivery, there can be only one, even though, of course, he's hilariously non-Scottish, even though he tries.
Yep, I know.
But he was in like the Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, and he's been in all this, at least his stuff he's done in the States. I'm sure he's done a lot of great French or Belgium things, and I'm sure one of our commenters will tell us it's wonderful French filmography, but in the States he has been in shitty stuff.
Oh, he was wonderful in La Poule Ballet.
Yeah, exactly. Who could forget?
I dig the cut of his jib, man. Like I dig his delivery. I think it's cool.
That's a good one because he was a really like notable B movie actor for a real. I mean, Highlander is as B movie as it gets.
Well,
man.
and then 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, exactly.
And after that,
and yeah, there's definitely some talent there that that is just getting like destroyed by that accent, and it's not his fault. I don't, poor bastard, but I agree.
Yeah,
he
let's
could
all
have been.
feel sorry for him.
Yeah, he got to marry Diane Lane. What a fucker.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Nathan Fillion.
Interesting. You're right.
Nathan Fillion, of course, known mostly for Firefly. And I guess to a lot of people, unfortunately, Castle.
Yeah.
But the guy's good looking and he's funny.
He's funny as hell.
He's funny as shit, man. And like the what is it? The sing along blog, Dr. Horrible sing along blog. Oh, he's so funny in that. He's great in that Waitress movie.
Oh yeah.
But he's never just broken out. He's like Bruce Campbell in a way. Which is the obvious answer to this. He's like that because he's got that same kind of resume. He's in some beloved shit, but he never has translated as a big star.
Let me tell you this. This might make you happy.
Yeah?
It's a pretty strong rumor I've read in a couple different places that he's lining up to play Cable in Deadpool 2.
Really?
Oh.
Now, they had that Deadpool teaser in front of Logan, and there are Firefly posters all over that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Now, Marina Baccarin, who was in Deadpool, was on Firefly, and it may just be a nod to her, but there are so fucking... there's over a dozen of them in that thing.
And they also have, like, right after that, the Whoever Summers Was Here written on the phone booth.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, if they're telling you via background stuff, then I was wondering that too about the Firefly posters in the background, because I was like, they're telling us something here, but what?
Yeah, if you were just going to nod to your actress who was on that show, you'd put up one. But there's a dozen or more of them in this thing. They're definitely saying something. Well, that gets
me excited.
Yeah, because that would be a really high-profile role that I think he would kill. Especially, you imagine his humor going up against the Deadpool wit.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be good.
What's
good
so weird is that, like, you think of, like, we've watched him for so many years that, like, you realize how much talent he's got, but if you think about it, he hasn't been in those big marquee
he really hasn't.
movies, you know?
No, he should.
It's a waste.
He's not somebody, he's not a household name. I could go out and say, hey, Nathan Fillion, right? Am I right? Nathan Fillion? And they would be like, Huh? Who's that?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell. He's on that show Castle. Is where I would finally get people to be like, "Oh yeah,"
AKA murder he wrote.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for this SinCast. Please keep going to SoundCloud and giving us your thoughts.
Yeah, I want to challenge you people.
Oh, Lord.
Let's make this episode right here the highest downloaded episode and the most commented episode in the SinCast history.
What do we get out of it if we do?
What do we get out of it?
I'm speaking in the voice of the listener. What's in it for me? Not
Not
once have I asked what's in it for me. So when you say it, what's in it for me?
You get the pleasure of being a part of that comment orgy that we're finna to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Comment orgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the excitement of dealing with other human beings on
Yep.
the internet.
Yeah.
That is usually a nightmare for me. Dealing with human beings on the internet, but for these people, it might be
I
delightful.
know everybody's nice and bright and I'm sure very attractive too. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Bring it this week.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit Cinemasins.com.
Okay, so that takes us to the 4 and 13.
Ooh.
The number 4 is Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
You're in the wrong one.
Fuck me. Do I always go down this goddamn region? I do.
Uh-oh. No uh-oh.
I fucking hate the way this thing goes down. Like, I'll go down and it's like, oh, well, that's where I need to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, nope,
Sounds like you're talking about a sex robot.
I am.
I fucking hate the way this thing goes down.
I was trying not to have everybody know about my sex robot, and then you went and said that shit.
It's right behind you.
Yeah, it's right behind you.
What?
I keep him in the Saving Private Ryan safe. Or as the porn title was, Shaving Ryan's Privates.
One of the best ever.
68 and 6.4 on IMDb.
Yeah, so it's getting like, what, B's and C's?
But I heard nothing but how amazing this movie was before it even came up. Like, yes, they were saying, oh, Emma Watson completely transcends the character and all this other bullshit. And like, I've heard nothing. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone because all I've heard about that movie for 3 months is how great the movie is. And now suddenly you come in here and wreck my world.
Nobody's saying like bad things about it. They're just saying like, the one guy, the NPR guy, said it was exhausting.
Oh, really?
Because it was like, it's animated. They keep it light and airy, and when you do a live action thing, there's actual weight to the characters now. He said the Be Our Guest thing was visually spectacular, but like really tiring to watch because it was like all these things that actually had like dimensionality to them.
Oh, wow.
And which is, I could see that. I
Yeah.
could totally see that.
Yeah, it's a piece of poop. I don't care. I hate it. I hate its ass face.
I thought
I hate you, and I hate your ass face.
It's bastard people.
Oh my God, that movie's such fucking garbage.
I can't wait. I can't wait to not watch it until we send it.
Oh my God,
It's pretty
and
bad.
I think it gets worse the more I think about
Yeah.
it. It was. I mean, I demand goddamn answers on this.
Is it at least John C. Reilly fun?
Yes.
Yeah, he's easily
he's
the
the
best
best
part.
thing about it.
All right, good.
If they had gone to the island and it was just John C. Reilly, and it was, and like that's what they found,
That
like
would be-
expecting to find monsters, but they found
That would be amazing.
It would
and
be-
he actually thinks there's monsters,
Yeah.
but he's like a paranoid schizophrenic on this island.
right.
And they're running away from
And
monsters
he
that
just
don't
gives
exist.
like, dude, you gotta watch out for Kong, though. You gotta watch out for Kong.
it's all this paranoid thrill.
yeah.
You guys remember House a lot better than I do.
I love House.
Well, it's funny. I watched the entire series of House.
Mhm.
And then when they play those marathons and it's the only thing on, and I'll turn it on. I'll be like, well, I know I've seen this episode, but I don't remember it at all. I don't remember how they got to the solution. I don't know what ends up happening.
I just remember. You remember the one with Michelle Trachtenberg?
Yeah.
Where it was there was a tick that crawled into her vagina.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
They had to they went into an elevator to extract
because they looked everywhere for it. Remember? Yeah. They looked everywhere for it. They went in her hair, and they went in the armpits, and they went all these different places. And then I think they even inspected down there, but they didn't go inside.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then by the end of it, they're like, wait a minute, it's got to be a fucking tick.
Casting call, guest role, vagina tick girl.
Right.
It was funny because they had to the clock was ticking and everything, and they had to wheel her into an elevator, and they finally find it. But when the elevator doors open, her dad is standing
Yeah.
He's like, what was she in? Was that Euro Trip?
Euro Trip.
Yeah.
And ice skating movie.
Oh, yeah.
Ice Princess or something.
I think that it was Ice Princess.
Don't look at me like I'm stupid.
No, I just don't.
You're going to do
remember
research on this later, and you're going to be like, he was totally right about that Ice Princess thing.
And it actually
didn't involve any ticks.
I think I remember that movie doing pretty okay too. Yes, the movie is called Ice Princess.
There you go! Boom shakalaka.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well,
the movie
NBA
came
jam
out
for you.
The movie came out in 2005, and then she still ended up on a 2006 episode of House
with a tick in her vagina. Nice.
Hey,
she
man.
got that tick while filming Ice Princess.
Pretty much.
It's a famous ice tick.
Yeah. Yep.
Hockey players and ice skaters all over the world are well aware of this.
They get it. It's like tennis elbow for hockey.
Yeah, see what all the Canadian doctors know what it is. I know what you got there. It's a classic ice tick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll just put you in the surgery room real quick, and you'll be up and at 'em in 3 hours.
You betcha.
You'll just have to remind me. Make your hand remind me.
Hello, hand. I was telling Chris the reason that I do that is when I was on the train in Chicago, you'd be holding on and you'd be like, that's
oh yeah,
to do.
I gotta have a kid.
Provide food and water for
Feed small child.
It's like that old Far Side where the guy, he is woken up and on the wall is written first socks, then shoes.
Back when I still
cut all that out.
Back when I still thought I could be a stand-up comedian, which was a while ago, I had this whole bit about search engine optimization and porn. Because some of the porn titles are so obviously English is the second language.
Yes.
Yep.
And so the SEO intentions come through. And then you get some weird, there was one that I actually did research. I got 26 screenshots, and I called my wife in and made her look at all of them because I wanted her to understand what I was doing, because I was collecting, maybe make a video about this.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them was it was some synonym for in front of. And it was girl kneels pre-man or something like that. It was some other weird wonky word in there that made the whole thing. Anyway, I think there's a bit in there somewhere, but I give that to the world of comics because I'm not going to
pre-man.
It wasn't pre. It was.
It's going to be a
some
category.
synonym for before, ahead of. Girl kneels ahead of man to suck him off or something like that.
Girl is antecedent to man.
Antecedent.
Girl precedes man on floor.